Put the needle on the record.
Oh, we're dropping that needle hot because the New York Knicks have taken game one, beating the Philadelphia 76ers. You know, it was one of those games that you watched and you were thinking at one point in time, especially when the Knicks had that slow start, that there could be something going on. There could be something wrong. There could be one of those games that you've seen so many times in Knicks history where they make the playoffs. I'm not gonna say the Knicks had a stellar season, but they had a good season. They had a very good season, but you've seen the Knicks have good seasons before and then, just kind of collapse and just kind of fall apart. And it's one of those things that they came out, they had a little bit of a deficit, and then they built a 58-46 halftime lead. Miles McBride, he was one of those guys. He was one of those guys you looked at him and you were just like, you know what? It just seems like it's clicking on all cylinders. We saw Jalen throwing up some clunkers. You had McBride coming on strong. And then when Embiid went down with that injury, he had already scored, I believe, 15 points. You kind of thought to yourself, okay, wait a minute. We have a situation now where we have the ability to push the Sixers around and kind of move forward that way. Well, it didn't work out as much as we thought it would because, like I said, when you held the Sixers to 12 points in that second quarter, you really kind of thought, you know what, we're going to come out in the second half. We're really going to build that momentum. We're going to really push it through the third quarter. And then we get outscored 36-21. It wasn't a great shooting night for a lot of the Knicks that we thought were going to come on strong. But you know what? At the end, they did. And that's all you need to look at. And that's all we need to see. Embiid still played 37 minutes, put up 29 points. He was a plus 14, but he only had 8 rebounds. It was the Tyrese Maxey show at one point in time, hitting 14-26 for 33. They really had no answer for Maxey at one point in time. They really did. And it was getting a little distressing. Because when you're watching it, you're like, okay, this is just not going to work out well. And when you have the lights, OG Anunoby and Josh Hart, you figure, you know what, listen, you should be able to shut down their wing defenders. You should be able to help push around the middle of, push the Sixers around a little bit, or, around the paint. Josh Hart had big 13 rebounds to go on with that 22 points. It was 5 for 12, but you know what? It was an efficient 5 for 12 because he was 8 for 10 from the line, 4 for 8 from 3. You had a bad shooting night from DiVincenzo, which I thought was going to be an Achilles, but it turned out not to be. Brunson was the same thing. A little bit of a bad night, coming out 8 for 26, only 1 for 6 for 3. Only for 22 points, but the Knicks showed their grit. The Knicks showed their ability. They after that 36-point explosion by the Sixers in the third quarter, you figure the Knicks of old would have collapsed. They would have turned around. They would have just been one of those teams where you just like, oh, geez, here we go again, guys. I've sat through too many of those, especially playoff games in the Garden, and you're just kind of like, you know what? It's just gonna go bad. It's just gonna go horribly wrong. And then what do they end up doing? Putting up 30. Knicks put up 32 in that fourth quarter to 22 points for the Sixers. I'm just a little excited. I'm a little pumped. And like I said, watching McBride dropped in that 21 plus 37, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 5 for 7 for 3. I mean, it was one of those nights. The Knicks shot 47% from 3-point range to the Sixers 34. Excuse me. I mean, if like I said, if this was the Knicks of old, we would have lost this game. When Embiid went out, I thought we were going to push it and really kick it out into gear. But at the end of the day, like I said, Embiid comes back. You figure, oh no, here we go again with another one of those Knicks games. But then you know what? Like I said, they really showed something. They really showed some grit. They really showed some guile. They really showed that ability to bounce back. And at the end of the day, it's going to bode quite well for this team to grab this because you really didn't want to go down 0-1. You really didn't want to go down the way. Got to give all the credit for Deuce McBride, man. And also, you got to I keep forgetting about Mitchell Robinson too. Putting up 8 points and 12 boards, 4 blocks off the bench. And like I said, you know what? You got to worry about Embiid. You got to worry about see what's coming back. The Knicks then won like I said, we take a look at it. They won the Battle of the Glass, 55 rebounds to 33. It was also 42-7 in point scoring. Sometimes you forget about that. The Knicks at one point in time before the Quickly trade were like, I think they had scored the fourth amount of points at that point in time in the league off the bench, and then they dropped down to 26. But when you beat a team 42-7 and put bench points, that's where the game is won. That's where you push it. And you got to give a big thanks to Josh Hart, though. And that's another thing you got to talk about. Josh Hart hits that huge three-pointer in the fourth quarter. It gave us that moment to exhale. It really did. Put him up by 7 with a minute left. And then, like I said, it was just one of those. It was just one of those things. It's just one of those games. And like I said, even with Brunson having that off night, it was spectacular to watch the Knicks. Because Brunson has shown that he has the playoff abilities. It's not like he's a guy that fades in the playoffs. We saw him and Donovan Mitchell go point for point a couple of years back. It's gonna be huge. He's gonna be fine. Even though, like I say, 7 for 24, 3 turnovers, 5 assists. It's gonna be fine. We're gonna have to come up with an answer with Tyrese Maxey, and we gotta hope that Embiid maybe can't go back to back. Well, it's not. Don't have 2 games in a row, but I mean back to back. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. I'm just a little too excited tonight. It's what the Knicks are the saviors right now of New York and New York sports in reference to my team. It's reference to my teams. Mets have come back around, but right now the Knicks are the only game and the only show in town. So I'm going to give them a big salute and a big thumbs up. And you know what? Let's go up 2-0. As always, let's go Knicks!